Prominent Canadian Liberal MP and former Premier of Ontario Bob Rae has been denied entry to Sri Lanka on Tuesday. Mr. Rae had been critical of Sri Lanka's military campaign in the north against the Tamil rebels, which led to killing of many thousand innocent civilians. Sri Lanka's Immigration Commissioner P.B. Abekun said, "Intelligence reports meant Mr. Rae should not be admitted, and was therefore sent back." However, the same government had initially granted Bob Rae a visa for this trip, which he relied upon to confidently board the long flight. Questions are now being asked as to why the government changed its mind at the 11th hour on Mr. Rae. Among many reasons, the Sri Lankan Sinhalese community living in Canada sees him as a threat to their misinformation campaign, due to his sound knowledge on the conflict.
It's now clear that the calls from the Security Council have been ignored by the government of Sri Lanka. The foreign minister today is quoted as saying that they simply were not going to listen to those requests for a ceasefire. We have at least, according to the UN estimates, 50,000 people who are trapped in a space of roughly 2 square miles. They can't get out. They can't get out because the government and the Tamil Tigers won't let them get out. What is the government now going to do when faced with this situation? It isn't enough to give speeches. The government has to tell us what action are they going to take, Mr. Speaker.
A visit by him at this crucial juncture, when the Sri Lankan government tries to avoid a UN-led war crime investigation, would only mean more trouble to Sri Lanka. Therefore, ever since the Sri Lankan High Commission had granted Rae the visa, complaints to the Sri Lankan government from these Sri Lankans poured in, asking it be revoked. One such request had appeared in a Sri Lankan newspaper recently, written by a Sri Lankan government supporter living in London, Ontario. Many critics were surprised that these Sri Lankans somehow managed to live in Canada, while also ensuring the door is shut for the Canadians in Sri Lanka. Richard Anderson, Web News Service, Melbourne, Australia.